All right. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to everyone. My name is Mayra Robles. I am the Education USA advisor in Brunei, Darussalam, and I'm here today to talk about step one, knowing your options or researching your options when you intend to study in the United States of America. So step one is one of the 5 steps that you have to go through if you intend to pursue your higher education in the USA. All right, so a short introduction on Education USA for those who are new about Education USA. Education USA is a US Department of State advising center with 430 international advising centers in 178 countries and territories. Education USA offers accurate, current, and comprehensive information about US higher education, and it is your official source on US higher education. In the US, as many of you know, the US is huge, which is comprised of 50 states, and we have 4,500 accredited universities and colleges. So I'm starting with a map just to show you the options available for you. 4,500 universities and colleges across the 50 states of the United States of America. So the first thing you should think about now when attending this session is whether you're planning to enter a community college. That's number 1, if you want to complete an associate's degree. Number 2, if you want to complete a bachelor's degree or an undergraduate degree. Number 3, if you want to do your master's or your PhD in the US, which we call the graduate level of education, or postgraduate level if you're coming from a British system. Or some of you may be looking at completing a short-term technical or vocational course in the United States. Some of you may also be looking at improving your English language skills, and we have this as well. And of course, in this current situation, online learning is available for you too. Okay, next slide. So what is the best college or university for you? So a lot of students and parents and sponsors, especially government sponsors, would always first look at rankings. Which universities are the top in the world? Which universities are best in STEM, best in the arts, and others? But do you think that is the most important criterion? I think students and parents and sponsors should think about the recognition of the diploma or degree that you receive from a US college or university, and that's what we call accreditation. You want to make sure that the university that you enter is at least regionally accredited. And how do you look for regionally accredited universities in the US? There is a website as indicated here. It's called chia.org, or the Council for Higher Education Accreditation, where you can look into not just institutional accreditation, but programmatic accreditation as well. And of course, the official website for you to search for Student Exchange Visitor Program certified schools is no other than the studyinthestates.dhs.gov webpage. So I hope that's clear. Don't just look at rankings, look at accreditation and SEVP certified schools, most importantly. All right, so there are many priorities that you're looking at when choosing a college or university when you do plan to study abroad, especially when you're studying you're hoping to study in the US. You're looking at the academic fit. Is this program the right program for me at the right university? You're looking at financial fit. How am I going to fund my education in the US? Or where will I find money to pay for my college education? Of course, there are personal requirements as well. How is the weather? What are the extracurricular activities? What is the campus culture like in that state or in that university or college? So the key is, don't try to match yourself to a university but rather try to pick a university that matches you. So I hope that's clear for everybody. All right, so now I'm going to walk you through the several higher educational institutions available in the US. And we will start with community colleges. So I mentioned earlier on, one of the options is, looking at completing a 2-year associate's degree at a community college in the US. So the community colleges are more affordable in general compared to 4-year universities. And this is your first 2 years in university. Completing an associate's degree at a community college does not stop you from completing your bachelor's or your undergraduate degree. So there's over 1,000 community colleges in the US, and many of these community colleges have transfer agreements with 4-year universities. And for students who may probably just want to work right after completing a 2-year associate's degree, they may do so. There are students who will look into transferring to a 4-year university to complete their 3rd and 4th years. So at this virtual fair, we have 5 community colleges listed. And in my slide here, you can see there's Foothill, the Anza colleges, College of Lake County, Seattle colleges, and many others. So I would encourage for those who are seeking to enter a community college to visit the virtual booths of these community colleges. So next, after community colleges, we will look into state or public colleges or universities. So in general, state or public college universities offer 4-year undergraduate and graduate degrees. So how would you know that a university is a state university or a public university? So most of these universities will have the word state in the names of the university, but some of them won't. So you would have to really look into the university website just to make sure if you're intending to study at a state or public college that it is indeed a public college or university. So I've observed that at this fair, we actually have more state or public universities joining this fair. And these in general cost less than private universities. And they offer both, again, as I mentioned, a bachelor's degree, a master's, and a PhD or a doctorate degree. Next in line is private colleges or universities, it's almost the same as state and public universities, except that it is private. So just like the state universities, they offer 4-year undergraduate and graduate degrees. However, they cost more, but that doesn't mean you cannot afford to enter a private college or university. So although tuition is generally higher, private universities have more funding to award generous financial aid. So this is something to think about. If you plan early, and you know which university you are targeting to enter, and it is a private university, you will look at, for example, your test scores and other requirements that will qualify you to apply for funding opportunities. All right. So next, we come across this type of colleges, and I think this is unique to the US. These are liberal arts colleges. Liberal arts colleges are mainly private. They are smaller in class size, smaller in campus size, but focus generally on undergraduate or bachelor's degree completion. So liberal arts colleges focus as well on well-rounded education, such as literature, history, language, mathematics, and life sciences. So you will also find that a lot of women's colleges, arts and music colleges are liberal arts colleges. The cost is, of course, the same as private universities. Okay. And of course, we have the very famous Institute of Technology. Currently, some of the top universities in the world are institutes of technology. And these are mainly private universities. Many are private universities, but there are also public, Institute of Technology universities available for you to look into. So what will make you want to look at an Institute of Technology? Now, if you are a student who is looking into pursuing a program in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, it is worthwhile for you to add in your list an Institute of Technology. So many of these institutes also offer short-term courses and graduate degrees. So an example of these courses that these institutes are really famous for include data science, artificial intelligence, engineering, pure mathematics, and others. All right, and last but not the least, of course, we have online and distance learning available for students who may be looking into staying at home, but still hoping to complete a bachelor's degree or grading a skill or profession via online and distance learning. So on my left, we have what we call MOOCs. These are massive open online courses. These are mainly free and short-term. An example would be Coursera, edX, Udemy, and others. These are free. Some are paid, and courses or classes, MOOC classes that are free usually do not offer credit. So you can't use these classes to earn credits towards a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree, but these are free if you want to improve certain skills. So if you're really looking into getting into a university online or via distance learning, and you want to make sure it is accredited, there are two websites you can look into: the Distance Education Accrediting Commission or the U.S. Department of Education database of post-secondary institutions and programs. This is to ensure that the certificate or diploma or degree that you receive will be recognized. All right, so for those who are unable to visit campuses, which I think is the majority of the students that are unable to go to campus tour in the US, we have, of course, the virtual campus tour at campus360.org for you to navigate and look much more closely to the universities that you are planning to apply to. So this is a good way for you to get a feel of, for example, if you want to get a feel of how an Institute of Technology looks like, or a liberal arts school, or a private or public university, or even a community college, there are a lot of universities listed on campus360.org, and I strongly encourage you to look into this website. All right, so we're done with the core of the presentation, and I want you to think about, one, why? Why do you want to study in the US? Is it because of the reputation? Is it because you've heard good news about the US? Or you have friends who have successfully completed their degrees in the US and are professionally, career-wise successful in life? Is it because you know that the US is the #1 destination for international students and others, right? Or is it because of financial aid, funding availability? So these are some questions I would need you to ask yourself. And of course, there are choices. Which university should I look into? I discussed the 5: community college, a state university, a private, a Institute of Technology. Am I going to do distance learning or online learning instead? And where? Remember, 50 states with 4,500 accredited universities and colleges in the US. That is a lot to choose from. That's why you're in this session today. And when? When do you plan to study in the US? And how soon should you start researching? How soon? So if you are planning to start to study or enroll in the US at a US university next year, you need to start your research now, which is at least a year before enrollment. All right. Okay, so I actually have a worksheet here, which I use and give out to students who come to our center, Education USA in Brunei, for advising. And I would always advise students to look into, you know, at least six colleges or universities. So you know, this table is based on the priorities that I believe most of us are looking into: the cost, competitiveness, the number of people enrolled, how much tuition or living cost you will spend if you study there, requirements of testing, and others. And of course, you will want to look at yourself as well and see whether this university or college is right for you, because you have to answer that. And also, what are your strengths? You want to make sure that, you know, the universities or colleges that you're sending your application to will know your strengths. So, a tip for everyone: is someone trying to speak to me now? Okay, then I'll just continue. So a key point here is finding who your Education USA advisor is in your country. So there's 178, I believe, and I am the only advisor in Brunei, but you know, Education USA is your key to successful planning and experience of studying in the US. So you need to know who your Education USA advisor is. And you can just always go to the Education USA website, educationusa.state.gov, to get this information. Okay, so I mentioned standardized tests that some universities will require at the undergraduate level or graduate level. So these include, to my left, we have the SAT and the ACT, which is required as an admission. It's required for admissions in some universities, but not all universities, for those planning to enter the undergraduate or bachelor's level. So there are ways as well for you to look at universities that do not require this test. There's a website, it's called fairtest.org, that have optional policies on requiring either the SAT or ACT test. All right. And at the bottom of this, we have what you see there. It's called GMAT and the GRE. So these are exams for students who are looking into pursuing a master's degree or a doctorate degree in the US. GMAT is mainly for people looking into entering into an MBA program. And GRE, in general, is widely accepted in most graduate schools. And most universities will require either a GRE or GMAT if you're looking into business test score for your application. And of course, to my right, we have the 3 English tests, the IELTS, the Duolingo, and the TOEFL exams. You probably would need to take one of the 3 English tests. Exemptions are given for some students who have completed their high school or secondary school from international schools. But a tip here for students looking at funding or scholarship or financial aid is really at the undergraduate level to take your SAT or your ACT exam plus 1 English test. So currently, you can look into the website for testings available in your country. The Duolingo test is new. It is more affordable than the IELTS and TOEFL. So it really depends. And you have to check as well whether your university is accepting this English test. Okay, next. So this is an overview of the application timeline. As I mentioned earlier on, you need at least a year, 12 months to 18 months to plan your education in the US. Applications open if you're planning, for example, to start studying in the US next year, applications, most universities will open between October to December. So you submit your applications, for example, to 6 universities there. You will be notified the following year of whether you get accepted or rejected or waitlisted from that university. And at this month, usually is the month in May that you process your visa application at the nearest US embassy. And of course, this semester starts in August or September. So a note as well, there are some universities that have rolling admissions and would allow you to submit your application not just in the regular October to December months. So you'll have to look into that as well. Okay, I'm almost done, and these are resources for you to look into. The Big Future College Board, the Common Application, College Navigator, Funding, SEVP, US News and World Report, and others. I think this is all self-explanatory. The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are resources mainly for undergraduate, and the 4 at the bottom are for those looking at pursuing a master's or a doctorate degree in the US. This slide will be shared as well, so don't worry about it. Okay, so just an overview again. I know there are other sessions will be conducted on the 5 steps, and I'm just delivering step 1. And I just wanted to give you some general information on the requirements when you do submit your application to a US university or college. These include your education credentials, your transcript of records, as others would call, recommendation letters, an essay or personal statement, and for some, standardized scores. So we're done with step 1, and we'll have steps 2 for, step 2, when you want to look into how you'll finance your studies. Step 3, how you'll complete your application. Step 4, how to complete your visa. And step 5, how you can prepare for your departure. So if you have questions, let me know. You can type it in our chat box. And I will now go back to the main page. And of course, most importantly, you need to know who your EducationUSA advisor is in your country. They are, the keys to ensure that you are, 1, entering or looking into accredited universities. 2, they will help you walk through the process, help you look for funding and financial aid, assist you in a step-by-step process in applying for your visa, and of course, ensure that you will have a great experience in the US when you get accepted and when you start studying in fall. Thank you so much. And I will end my presentation now. All right, and we'll go back to the room to answer questions from everybody. You can also unmute your microphone, or you can, put your questions in the, okay, that's a lot of questions now, in the chat box. Is year 13 too late for this? Chunhua Ding. So I'm guessing you are following the British education system, and you're completing your A-levels now. So it's not too late. Remember, application will open sometime October, November, December. And the good news is there are some, especially this year, for those submitting their application this year, is that a lot of universities are being more flexible in accepting applications from students who don't have the SAT or the ACT score, or even an English score. So it's not too late, but you would need to double time in terms of looking at your 6 universities or colleges. Okay, Chin Chi Win, this is from Vietnam. How is SAT different from ACT? So what I will do is I will share with you the website for the SAT and the ACT. So you can check out both exams. Okay. All right, am I back in the meeting? So what is the difference? So when you have, so a lot of students say this to me, if you're stronger in mathematics, take the SAT. Why? There's a portion in the SAT where you don't use your calculator to answer math questions. Now, if you're stronger in science, they say you should take the ACT because the ACT has a separate science section as an exam. So I hope that answers your question. They're both standardized tests. The key really is which one you'll do better will depend on how you prepare, right? This is the SAT website. How will you prepare for your SAT or ACT exam? Hold on. So for the SAT, we have what we call Khan Academy that will help you review your SAT for free. All right. And I've not answered the question yet, which exam you should take. Now, you take the practice tests available in Khan Academy for SAT. And for ACT, on their ACT website, you can also look at the test, sample tests available and see where you score better. Now, if you know, without, for example, studying for the ACT or SAT, that you've scored better in the SAT, then you take the SAT exam. And let's say you took the ACT too, and maybe you scored better in the ACT, then you take the ACT exam. So it's not just looking at it this way, but you also want to know which areas you are weak at, so you know where you need to strengthen and study more, so you'll have better grades and better results and better scores when you do sit for the exam. So a lot of students have shared with me that they actually take the exams not just once, they take it twice. And why is that? So if you know what your target university or college is, and there's a specific score they're looking at, a minimum score they're looking at, and if you're applying for scholarship and there's a higher score they're looking at, I think it's really important for you to know what your current level is with taking either the SAT or ACT exam. And don't take the exam when you're not ready. Take the exam when you're ready and when you have studied. So there are apps or applications that you can download for free, and you can practice answering these questions on a daily basis, maybe 10 minutes a day, and before you sit for the practice tests that are available online. So I hope that answers your question, Shi Win. Okay. So I think I've answered more than enough for the SAT and the ACT, and I provided you the website as well. So the SAT also has subject tests in math, science, and certain languages. And if you want to show your strengths in certain areas, for example, SAT in maths, because maybe your the Institute of Technology that you're applying to requires you to show your strength in mathematics. So maybe it's just worthwhile for you to take the exam. Okay, Shon Yun. Okay, so which one is more acceptable in the US, TOEFL or IELTS? So both English standardized tests are accepted in the US. So if you're looking at a graduate program, most graduate schools will prefer the TOEFL score over the IELTS score. You have to take note that when you're taking the IELTS exam, there's, you know, or the TOEFL, there's the academic test and the general test. Obviously, you have to take the academic test if you're planning to study in the US. So what is the AP test? So the AP test, this generally assesses your knowledge of a certain course material. And these are, in general, introductory courses in college. So if you want to show that you're capable of working at a certain level in a college subject, you do take the AP test. So in my country, for example, in Brunei, we don't really strongly encourage taking the AP tests because our students have completed their A levels, and these are already pre-university courses. And those who are, you know, in the British system would know that the subjects they do take up would, if they score well in their results for their A levels, would have these courses or subjects credited. Okay, someone's answered. Thank you. How many people that you've targeted to get? I don't really understand this. How many people that you've targeted to get scholarship? So I think I'll paraphrase this question. How can one look into scholarships? So let me share with you a website. This is the most useful website. It's called Funding US Study. And it's specific for international students looking at scholarships. So you can actually start there if you are, you know, financially challenged in looking for a university or college for both undergraduate or graduate level, and you want to have some sort of funding. That is the page to look into. Okay. So for the questions on scholarship, I will reserve that for step 2 if you are attending a session on, you know, looking at financial aid, and I strongly suggest you attend that session and navigate the virtual fair session today. Okay, if you're pursuing a postgrad program, GPA, VARS, is additional. Okay, so Friedrich, if you're pursuing a postgrad, yes, looks at your bachelor's degree. Yes, your GPA. Use conditional for your bachelor or master. Conducted in English and country. Okay, Friedrich, I think you need to explain to me what your question is, whether it is, are you looking at graduate requirements applying to graduate school? So if you're looking at applying to graduate school, yeah, yes?
Just now I'm just helping anyone of you who are having these problems. I just answering them.
Oh, thank you so much.
Because I have attended quite a few, and I have joined the MACEE, which is Malaysia and America Commissionary Education's event or something. So they basically has go through the thing. So I just helping you to answer some of their questions.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks. But if you are, you know, in general, if you're looking at graduate school in the US, you must take GRE. Yes, GRE.
But it depends. It depends. So I have applied to a few. Actually, they want to enroll me, but I'm just worried about money.
Financial? Is it financial that you're looking into?
I mean, I think the one that hold me back is because of the dollar. I mean, money issues, financial issues. But most of it, they don't really require me to take SAT or GRE or GMAT because they will look at your qualification first.
Okay.
That's why I just posted like before you pursue or before you do anything, I think better you go and check with the particular school or uni or college that you want to apply to, and then you submit your own your application, everything, because they will do a background check before they accept you. So when they did some background check on you, then they will advise you what you should do and what you should take, and so on and so on. So that time that will cost you, that will save your time, that will save your money, and that will save your heartache, because they will teach you what you have to do, and then before you can enroll into that particular school or college that you want to.
Yes, definitely. If you're coming from a different education system from the US, many of these universities will require you what they call a credential evaluation, and you would either have to submit, get university to submit your transcript directly to these credential evaluators like NACES or WES, and of course you pay an amount to get your transcript credential, and they will send this directly to the university. So these are one of the assessments that graduate schools will look into, is looking at the equivalency of your bachelor's degree, because the US follows a K-12 system, and some countries around the world may probably just have a K-10 or K-11, or even more like a K-13, just like in Brunei. So always get the official, comprehensive, accurate, unbiased information from your EducationUSA advisor. And they have contacts directly at these US universities and colleges, and can help you reach out if it is difficult for you to speak to these university and college representatives. So get your information directly from the source. That is the best advice I can give you. Okay, visa. Okay, so we have a session on visa as well. That is step 4. EducationUSA also provides a step-by-step guideline on applying for your visa. And once you're accepted to a US university or college, you will be sent what they call an I-20 form, a form that has your personal details, explains the duration of your program, the cost of your program, who will fund your program, and when you intend to start your program. And from there, you can start your visa application at the nearest US embassy or consulate in your country. I hope I've answered your question. The PowerPoint presentation will be shared, and our regional coordinator, Luke, will be in charge of this. So, okay, next question. If you want to take a master's degree in architecture, do I have to take the GRE test, or maybe the other test? The GRE test. So the GMAT is mainly for students looking into business courses, or those related to business, finance, and economics. And the GRE will be the test you have to take. But there are some universities that do not require the GRE, so best to check in with the university directly. All right. Want to take a break? Would you be able to defer a year after? So, Liv, it really depends whether your university will allow you to defer. Remember, seats are also limited, and there are students that are waitlisted as well. So you may have to resubmit your application, and you'd have to check with the university directly. So about the application now, you want me to talk about the Common App. Okay, so step 3 is talking about the Common Application. So I won't talk about it in detail, but I want you to attend a step 3 session, or look into the EducationUSA website and look at step 3, completing your application. So the Common App requires you to register, create a username and password, and will allow you to submit your application up to 500 plus universities and colleges in the US. It's called a Common App because it is one application where you can select your submission to several universities, but you may have to submit several essays for several universities, right? So how can we contact you after this meeting? So if you are from Brunei, residing in Brunei, you can definitely contact me. If you are residing somewhere else, you can check the EducationUSA website for the nearest EduUSA advising center. So why don't I want you to contact me directly if you're not from Brunei? It's because your EducationUSA advisor in your home country would have more information, more relevant information than I would. She or she would have more access to funding, scholarship, understand the visa application process in your country, and would definitely better advise you for your study in the US. Okay. All right. What would we consider how we go about determining whether colleges are a good fit for us? So, Julian, you saw the table, the worksheet that I showed in my presentation. So these are, just the priorities that a typical student or parent would be looking into when choosing a best fit or a good fit college for him or her in the US. So number one, of course, is always that, finances, I think, always top on the list. They want to make sure that you're able to afford your education there. And you want to make sure that you're in the right environment. If you are a person that will thrive in a more busier city life with a lot of, extracurricular activities, then, that should be a criterion set in your worksheet. If you're looking at pursuing undergraduate research study, for example, in a specific area, then maybe that should be part of your priority list. So there's, typically there's always cost, there's the location, and of course, the course that you are looking into. And if practical training is also a priority, then definitely add that onto your list. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about application. As I suggested, you have to attend another session, which is session 3 on, submitting your application, or go directly to the main EducationUSA website. Also, Sean Yun, you're looking at transferring to study in the US, correct? All right, so different universities would look at how, if your courses or the subjects you've taken up are transferable. They may require you to get your transcripts credentialed as well. So a credential evaluation may be necessary. And that's it, right? If you're in your first year, you may have to start, restart everything in your first year. If you're looking at transferring on your 3rd and 4th years, then you may have to take up certain subjects which you have not taken up in your first year. Because the British system, especially in higher education, is slightly different. The approach is slightly different. Okay, so we have 5 more minutes. For questions. Who are to contact in Australia? Alan, so you go to educationusa.state.gov and look for your advisor. There's an advisor section that you can look for. This is the EducationUSA website. Hold on. That's so if there's a portal there as well that you can send an email directly to the advising center, wherever your location is, and you can look for your EducationUSA advisor in Australia. Singapore. So the next speaker for this session will be EducationUSA in Singapore, Pranav. And Zero will be presenting right after me. So there are 2 advisors in Singapore. So, and I'm from Australia. Do I have to take an English test? Lyra, I don't think you need to take an English test. And you can seek confirmation from your EducationUSA advisor in Australia. So there are some exemptions in certain countries that don't have to take the IELTS, the TOEFL, or the Duolingo test. Okay. So definitely for more information, go to the EducationUSA website. Not sure if I've answered everyone's question. Attend university without a scholarship, we need to pay tuition fees up front. I'm international student. So fees. So once you're accepted at a university, to confirm your acceptance, a deposit is usually required, which is usually your first semester's fees, to confirm your enrollment at a university. Okay, but if you are looking at scholarship, this Funding US study, that you can always look into. And of course, there is the You Are Welcome Here page for students that are international students that you can look at 50+ universities that offer 50% tuition discount if you qualify for the You Are Welcome Here scholarship. Is it possible to transfer your local academic results into US standards instead of having to take the ACT, SAT exams to apply? So why do we, okay, let me just answer this question. Why do universities, so the SAT and the ACT, they are both standardized tests. So why do universities request international students to take these exams? So if you are, example, a student coming from New Zealand, all right, and you have a student coming from Singapore and another one coming from Albania, for example, all right, so they have different education systems, okay. Some education systems will probably be maybe more rigid than the others. It's a way for them to look into. Oh, sorry, was my mic off all this time?
No, just for like 3 seconds.
Okay,
You're fine now.
Sorry. Okay, so I hope you got that information about the why you have to take the SAT and ACT, and why universities actually look at you know, wanting international students to take the SAT and ACT so that they can compare your academic preparedness with that of other students applying from other parts of the globe. So it's just a way, and also a way for them to gauge as to who will deserve a scholarship or financial aid. So I hope that answers your question. We're almost done. It's 3 o'clock. And I know that this webinar will be available in an edited version. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming to today's session. I strongly encourage you to navigate in the virtual fair and, you know, introduce yourself to the higher education representatives that are here. That is the best way for you to get information, is to get information directly from US universities and colleges. And if you're unable to visit all the 20 US universities and colleges in this virtual fair, always go to the EducationUSA advisor at your home country, and they will give you the best information about US higher education. Thank you so much, and goodbye.